Good morning, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Thanks so much for dropping by. Money matters no matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in the Philippines or anywhere else. But when it comes to tourists, when it comes to expats, when it comes to foreigners, when it comes to the people who are planning to come here, are here, or want to live here, money really matters because it's not Philippine money. Um, and that's the most common sense is that you're not here working. The vast majority of the people that foreigners, expats, tourists, you're not here working. So if you didn't see the previous video, we showed you how just a small change in the exchange rate can represent a big change in your spendable income here. And what we got was a lot of various responses. In addition to that, we got requests for additional information. So let's talk about it.
Why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Okay, couple of things that we have got to get out of the way here. First off, number one, we are simple people. Arlen and I are far more simple than some people think. Okay? It's just that's just the bottom line. We're not some kind of fancy gurus or anything like that. We have to respond to and react to our surroundings and the immediate and perhaps sometimes the future happenings. So basically, we're simple. So this is made in a simple manner. Number two, this is not an inflation video. It is not about inflation. Inflation is a whole different subject, one that, quite honestly, we're not even qualified to speak about. Um, I mean, I could go and I could get all the metrics for what they use to create the guidelines for tracking certain things for inflation, but it's not our bailiwick, all right, or bailiwick or whatever, all right. Either way, the bottom line is it's just not our expertise by any way, shape, or means. It's not something that we are qualified to actually speak to you about, and we don't want to give you misinformation. That is for sure. The third thing and final thing is if you appreciate the effort that we put into these videos, if you appreciate sometimes the humor, sometimes the screw ups, sometimes the fact that we try and miss the point totally, hey, cut us a break and please do subscribe and hit that thumbs up. Okay, now, what we did in the previous video, we showed you the US dollar in two different scenarios, actually three. The first one is the current value of the exchange rate. The second one was a year ago to the same date. And the third data metric was 4 years ago during pandemic um, at its exchange rate. But we got a lot of people that wanted to know, well, what about everybody else? What about the Aussies? What about the Brits? What about this? What about that? So, yeah, I stayed up late and yeah, we went and got some information for you. Now, I've got to tell you, it brought up some interesting points. It really and truly did. Of which, after we show you the data and you get a second to digest it, we're going to tell you what those points are, and we're going to ask you, maybe you know more than we do. You probably do. All right. But it brings some interesting thought into the equation. So, without much ado, here we go. All right. First off, we're going to take a look and review again the US dollar to the Filipino peso. All right. And as I said, it's in the previous video, but there's the data, the explanation, and everything can be in the previous video. That is showing May 2023 versus May 2024 versus May 2020. And essentially, you ended up with $630 free dollars. And yeah, I'm not taking into account anything that has to do with inflation. But how did the Aussies do? All right. Well, if you look up here, May 12th, 2023, the rate was 37,123. So if you converted 5,000 Aussie dollars, you would have gotten 185,615 pesos. Well, the current rate is now 38,074. And if you convert that to Aussie dollars, you're getting 190. So you're 4,755 pesos greater, or you've had a 3% increase in the number of pesos you're getting per Aussie dollar in the past 12 months. But if you look at the pre-COVID spread, and let me remind people, the rates they change all over the place. I just picked that day. There have been better rates out there and there have been worse rates out there. Yes, we know that. So May 12th, 2020, the rate was 32.45. That means you only got 162,250 pesos. Compared to today, at the same 38,074, you get 190. That's a difference of 28,120 pesos, or $738.56 more. That's a 17% increase. Now, you could take a look at it from a point. You'll notice that there's two sections here. One is at $5,000. One is at $2,000. So, I don't know what the average retirement in Australia is. I don't know and I don't even understand the whole superannuation and everything else that, out in the U.S., our pension, Social Security, and retirement funding is really much different than in any other country. And I'm not even going to begin to try and figure out how it is in different countries. I have a hard enough time keeping track of what we have. All right. But at least, if you're in one of these two ranges, you can battle that and you can build your own spreadsheet and figure it out. Now, what about the Brits? What about them? All right. How did things change for them? Well, here again, it's the same thing practically. They came up with about the same percentages. And yeah, I did some rounding here because it was, mice nut fractions, 3.00215 type stuff. So, no. You know what? We're simple. We wanted to bring it to you simple so that you could have it simple. You can make this as complex as you want. But there's the difference. And versus 4 years ago, you've got 709.36 more British pounds. Hey, now here's one that was interesting. All right. And I think this is even funner. How about the South Korean won? There's no movement in that. There is little to no movement at all. Take a look at it. You're only going to end up with 119 over the 4-year period, 119 won, which is nothing. Absolutely nothing. over that 4-year period. It's a 2% increase. So the US dollar doesn't do as well as the Australians or as the British. The US dollar is down here at 14%, down here at the bottom of the page. All right. Fifth column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. There's a red box. After I do editing, there'll be a red box around it. 14% versus the Australians, 17%. Okay. Even the British are at 17%. Wow. Now, we talk about all the time now, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to do one more spreadsheet, and I'm going to put the yen, the Chinese, whatever it's called nowadays, all right? I think that might be called the yen also. I can't remember. But the Japanese currency, Chinese currency, and then I might just throw in the Indian currency. I think you'll be surprised. I'm expecting a surprise there. So there'll be one more of these videos. But with that being said, we always want to, what I hear, and it doesn't matter to us whatsoever, but what I hear so much is people bitching about the Koreans spending money. And they have so much more money, and they are so much more this and so much more that. I got news for you. They're here to party. That's it. If they haven't seen these radical increases, they're here to party. That's why they're spending it, or to invest. Okay? Now, when we get back down to all of this, when we try and look at the whole big picture here, I want you to recognize that sometimes inflation is individual. All right? The goods and services that you use may not be all in the categories that they track. And so its impact on you may vary. It may be greater, it may be worse. But you know who suffers the most? Who suffers the most are the Filipinos. The Filipinos, they're not making jack. All right? They're not keeping up with inflation in their own country. So the value, here we are bringing in all this extra money, but they're not getting any extra money. They're not, their money isn't worth 17% more than it was 4 years ago. They're not. They're the ones that suffer the most. I don't buy this bullshit about it's our fault. Because we have money and they don't. And it's because we're spending money and because foreigners provide a need and that's pricing Filipinos out. I don't believe that in a minute. Sure, certain areas, sure, certain things, but system-wide throughout the entire country, there aren't enough people to have that kind of impact. And there certainly aren't enough to spend that much. Now, when you count tourism and stuff like that, sure, it then has a bigger issue. But I still just don't buy it. I really don't. All right, so the next video, like I said, is going to have the Chinese, the Japanese, and the Indians, I'm pretty sure. I'll do that. I may even throw the Thai bot in there. But it takes me a while to look up the data for the exact dates and everything. So it's a little convoluted. Otherwise, but it won't be the next video we put out. It'll be a couple down the road. I have some other videos that we're working on, and those are going to be more in tune with what the channel's kind of used to. Either way, your comments and your thoughts. But remember, this is not an inflation video. It's an idea. It's a video that simply shows you this is the impact This is the change. This small change in the exchange rate, what does it do? And have you benefited from it? Do you feel you've even felt any benefit from that extra money? All right. Are you saving the extra money? That's what I'd really like to know. Are you actually saving it? Or are you like our friend who says, you know what? I'm in spending mode. Until I drop dead, I'm in spending mode. That's what a friend of ours says. And that's the way he's got the rest of his life planned out. How about you? Are you in spending mode or are you actually being a little bit financially savvy? We'd love to know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks and have a great day.